It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyrone Lowe. This is my show, The Legends. And I want to thank everybody that shows me love, that subscribes to my show. But today on my show, I have a true legend. This guy's been phenomenally making hits for a very long time. And I give to you on The Legends, Mr. Glenn Jones.
Hi.
How you doing, Glenn?
I'm well. How are you, Tyrone?
I'm quite well, man. Welcome to my show,
Good.
The Legends. So we're going to talk about the beginning for you because you actually started off as a gospel singer.
Yeah, I did. I mean, that's a pretty common story, with a lot of R&B singers. I
Right.
started in the church singing gospel. My mother was heavily involved in the church, and that's where I developed my craft.
Right. And so how did you guys actually form the Modulations?
Well, we all grew up together, so we were, pretty much in the same age range, and we went to church together. And at first, we started a little group out of my church. I went to a little Pentecostal church called the Holy Church of the Living God. So we named our little group after our pastor. We used to call them bishops. So I started a little group called the Bishop Specials.
Okay.
So from there, I ended up really, like learning how to play guitar in church, and decided I wanted to form my own group. So with the help of my older brothers who managed me at one time,
Right.
I was 14 years old. They helped me form my group. They bought equipment for me, and they furnished a van, for us to travel in, and we started going, singing in the state and other places, and that's when the Modulations, came about.
Okay. And so from there you moved on to the R&B field. Now,
Yeah, I
before
did.
you even answer that question, because Norman Connors is one of my favorite artists,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
on the jazz tip, because I'm really a jazz head as
Okay.
well. So let's tell the viewers about how you actually got connected with him.
Well, I once I formed the Modulations, a few years later, I got to meet the Reverend James Cleveland, who
Okay.
was, the biggest artist at Savoy Records, and
Right.
he heard me sing, and he heard some songs that I had written, and he told the record label that he wanted to sign me. So he took me in the studio
hmm
out in Cali. Matter of fact, it was Ray Charles' studio, RPM.
Right.
Was the company Ray Charles had back then. And he recorded me, and I recorded the second album after the first album that Reverend Cleveland produced. And Norman was friends with my manager at the time. I had a manager who was an entertainment lawyer named Louise West. She
Okay.
was living in Washington, D.C. She told him about me. She played my music, my album, and he loved it. So the next thing I know, I was meeting him in D.C., and then we flew to L.A. to work on a project.
So
And that was when I did the record Melancholy Fire, which
right.
was the second single from his Take It to the Limit album, which
Right.
happened to go like top 20,
He went to top 20s,
top
of
15,
course.
something like that.
you know. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
and from that point on, you signed with RCA, am I right?
Right, yeah. They signed me after Melancholy Fire had done so well.
So touring with Norman Connors, I know that had to be awesome, you know.
Yeah, it was awesome because, just keeping it real, after doing the gospel thing, I was always like the road manager and the musical
Right.
director. So I was driving the van, and I was doing this and doing that, doing everything. So when I got with Norman, I could just sit back on the tour bus, or get in the limo or whatever.
I hear that.
It was a whole nother world, man. So I truly enjoyed it.
The highlights of good showmanship, being connected, that's an awesome feeling. So
Yes, it is.
tell the viewers about 1984, because when you came out with Show Me, that look just took over a whole different level for you.
Yeah, Show Me was my first hit record. I mean, I came with a project, a EP before Show Me came. I had
Okay.
an EP called Everybody Loves the Winter, and I released a single from
Right.
that album called I Am Somebody, and then the second single was a song called Keep On Doing, which was a song that Al McKay from Earth, Wind and Fire
Right.
produced. You know, I got a chance to work with him because he had just left Earth, Wind and Fire. And then I went into my second project, and that was when Show Me came about.
Right. And tell the viewers about Bring Back Your Love. You know,
Oh, well,
that's
that was on the same album, man.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the great thing about that project is that I got a chance to work with the great Leon Silvers, and
Okay.
his production company actually was responsible for me recording "Bring Back Your Love," and it was, you know, one of my better records, man. Even, you know, right up till now, you know, people always request that song. That was the second single from the album because "Show Me" was the first one.
You know, when you came out with that sound of that R&B sound, it was it was on a whole different level as far as production, because
Yeah,
the drum pattern alone gave it a whole different type of signature. You know, and
yeah.
it was very, to me, that was very productive, man, because um, in those days everybody was doing their own thing, but you came out with a whole different sound, which actually gave you a whole different type of symbolism. You know what I'm saying? So, but who came
Well,
up with that idea as far as the production itself?
Well, you know, I worked with different people. Like the record, you know, "Show Me" was
Mhm.
actually produced by a good friend of mine. Her name is LaForest Cope. We call her Lala. She's the same person that wrote "You Give Good Love" for Whitney Houston. So she was working under Kashif's production company.
Okay.
Lala and a brother named Wayne Brathwaite and another guy named Steve Horton, and they
Hmm.
worked on my project. And matter of fact, when we were working on "Show Me," Kashif came to the studio. He showed up,
Right.
and when he heard the song, he said that I was singing too much, like I was in church. It was too gospel.
Oh, really?
You know? Yeah, yeah. But that record went on to be a major record, and it's one of my staple records. It's just
Yes.
like I cannot do a show and leave the gig without singing "Show Me."
Okay. Let's talk about your very first professional show where you had a live audience, and how did you feel just actually knowing that you were just there for yourself, and what was going through your mind just actually on your first on your first actual show?
Well, I had been doing shows, you know, all along, even when I was doing gospel.
Right.
You know, I was playing live because I had my own group. But after I met Norman, the first major show I did was a
Mhm.
show in New York at Avery Fisher Hall.
Right.
You know, and you had, you know, Gene Carn and Gary Bartz and Norman Connors and
Mhm.
Phyllis Hyman and all these giants. And I had never done
Right.
an R&B show. I was standing backstage, man, shaking in my boots, and I'll never forget Von Harper, who was he was a he was an air personality at WBLS.
Right. In
He
New York.
started talking to me, and
Mhm.
kind of made me, you know, feel a lot better. But that was the first major show I did, and then after that, I
Mhm.
got a chance to play at Constitution Hall, you
Okay.
know, after my first release came out. So
Mhm.
it was great, man. But you know, I've been singing since I was a kid
Yeah.
in
So it's
church,
just
you know,
like
and I
second nature to you.
yeah, I loved it, man. My mother used to say I was a ham, you know, probably more so a ham then than I
Right.
am now, you know. But you know, I was excited about it.
So let's talk about your current track that you have out now, Family Time. Now, I
Yeah.
listened to that track, man, and it takes me to the point where you're actually giving homage to some legends, you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
tell the viewers
Donnie
about
Hathaway,
that.
Marvin Gaye, and all those guys, you know.
Right.
Uh, that song was written by a friend of mine named James Day. James is an incredible songwriter, and it's so you know, it's so amazing that this guy has a hearing impairment, you know, and to
Okay.
write songs like that. He actually wrote another song on my album. I released a song about 2.5 years ago called Love by Design. It's a duet that I did with Regina Bell,
Okay.
which ended up being the #1 smooth jazz vocal record in Billboard. And he wrote that song, but when he sent me this song, I fell for it, man. I'm like, I know who I'm gonna call. I'm gonna call Chucky Booker.
Right.
To produce the record. And Chucky, we knew each other because we used to be label mates on Atlantic Records.
Right.
And found out that his mother was a fan of mine. So I called him. I said, I got this record, man. If you don't do this record, I'm gonna call your mama, man. So,
I hear you. Well, listen, we're getting ready to play your new track, Family Time. You guys go out there, support Glenn Jones on this single because it is hot, it is massive, and he's giving homage to some legends. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
We got some fun people in the house tonight.
This is our house.
Memories captured by the sound of Marvin Gaye and Hathaway. Love was all around. Cherished moments, almost lost in time. Some things change for the better. Some things we leave behind. Oh yeah.
Remote control. Radio was filled with soul. Jefferson was on TV. That was family time for me. Sing the songs and I'm alright. Busted moves in the soul train line. And like wearing out the lead. That was family time for me.
Treasure every minute with the ones you love. You'll never regret them, and they'll never be too much. Take nothing for granted. These are the good old days.
When you look over your shoulder,
You won't say they slipped away.
radio was filled with soul.
So much
Jefferson was on TV.
so much
That was family time for me. Sing the songs and I'm alright. Busted moves in the soul train line. And like wearing out the lead. That was family time for me.
Talk to your father. Listen to your mother. Sit down with your sister. Be there for your brother.
Play with your children, dance with your lover, be there to forgive and love one another.
Long before remote control, radio was filled with soul. Jefferson was on TV. That was family time.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Turn around. You ain't really down. Playing the games you do. Someday, everything will be alright. Yeah, that different people make the world go round.
Because of you, my dreams are coming true.
That erases my rainy day.
Right now. I don't care who's watching.
For whatever the reason there might be.
With your love by my side, the world will be mine. You're the one for me.
Yeah! Nobody
everyone. My name is Tyrone Lowe. This is my show, The Legends. And in the House of the Legends, we have the legendary Glenn Jones. What's going on, Glenn?
It's all good, brother.
That track is a monster, man. And, hey, I'm laying hands on it. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right
really,
now.
really what's up,
Yeah.
Through the years that you've been actually performing, because you've been around for a very long time, did you find at any time that you had to reinvent yourself, to actually deal with the sounds that they have today?
Well, I think that you have to, stay open to everything. I love all sorts of music. I love hip hop. I love, jazz. I love blues. I love country. I love gospel. And there's always going to be an element of some of that in most of the music. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun,
Right,
so
right.
everything evolves, it comes back around, but you just have
Mhm.
to stay open to the whole process, and particularly, like the I guess the technical aspect of it, because the sound and the approach to recording changes,
Right.
and just sonically you have to be aware of what's happening.
You know. My question to you is, can you tell upcoming artists, people that are actually getting into the industry, do you have any type of suggestions for them that they can actually to give them some type of encouragement? Because the people get into the industry and they go through little flaws or a red flag, and all of a sudden now they just want to just give up, So can you encourage them to actually, stay on track?
Brother, you gotta hang in there, you gotta persevere. It's like there are many peaks and valleys in what we do,
Right.
even as artists. I mean, sometimes you're hot, sometimes you're not. But as long as you make sure you have that consistency, as long as you make sure that your music is always timely but timeless, and that it has quality, it has that staying power, that
Right.
lasting power. And sometimes people get off on, chasing all these different trends. I try to keep my thing classic, man. I try to keep it timely but timeless.
You know. So, as far as the industries from years ago to now, has it actually changed in a sense?
Bruh,
Well, this is for the viewers to
so
know.
it's so different now, man. It's crazy, man.
Right.
And trying to navigate and figure out how to go is really difficult because everybody's journey is different. We follow different paths. But I would say stay true to yourself and stay true to your fans, your base. And I think you'll be all right.
Let me ask you a question, Glenn. Do you think that management has a lot to do as far as the artist's success?
Well, my manager once told me that she believed that the artist sets the pace, sets the tone, and sometimes, you know, management does make a difference because sometimes you can just have really bad management. You can
Hmm.
have, just people making decisions based upon what's best for them. It's like, okay, say for instance, if you have a manager who's trying to keep you working
Hmm.
and it's all about the dollar, all about the money, because they're going to get a commission. That's
Right.
not a good thing. You need to be picking and choosing, trying to, trying to direct your artist in a upward, trajectory, and a lot of people don't do that. You know, it's all about what's in it for them. And management is a very personal thing, man. It's hard to pick a manager sometimes because you have to you have to trust them with everything, man. You
Right.
trust them with your
Right.
life, man, your
Mhm.
career, the future of your kids and your family.
Right. Have you ever been through any personal indications as far as that's concerned with management or your team?
Well, I've been in situations where people would not like my management,
Okay.
and they, whenever they got the opportunity, they would take that out on me, and
Hmm.
probably would be after my relationship with that manager has ended.
Hmm.
And when I'm out, trying to keep my thing going, Glenn Jones, I'm in the Glenn Jones business. And
Right.
as I'm
Right.
trying to
Right.
keep that going, you got people coming up trying to take revenge on you because you had a manager that they didn't like the decisions that they made. Or
Right.
sometimes, there are things that managers do that you don't even know that they've done it
Hmm.
in the moment, you know.
And so, Glenn, let's tell the viewers about your current events. What's going on with you? Anything that you want to peek out to them, so they could actually support you in a sense, as far as maybe touring and maybe a new album. We know you got a new single out, so bring them up to speed a little bit.
I have a new album. The album is called Love by Design. And, because of living in the age of digital downloads, I chose to release singles up until until this present time.
Hmm.
But in 23, I'm going to drop the entire project, which is entitled Love by Design. It's some great songs. It's kind of stuff that you would expect, from Glenn Jones, but even beyond that, some great mid-tempo,
Hmm.
uh, danceable tracks, and just very melodic, very lyric conscious,
Right.
good messages, inspirational type music, and that's what I do. I'm always working,
Hmm.
like I was saying when I came online today. I'm headed to a gig in a few minutes. That's why I'm doing this in the
That's
lobby.
all right.
Yeah,
We'll be out of here in a few.
yeah,
Have you
yeah.
ever written for other artists?
I've written songs that other artists have covered. I wrote a song for the Temptations years ago.
Okay.
I wrote some gospel stuff. Actually, one of the gospel projects I did, I wrote and produced two songs on the album. Is a project by the Canton Spirituals called "Walking by Faith," and the single that I wrote and produced and performed on
Hmm.
was "I'll Never Let Go," and that song was nominated. That album was nominated for a Grammy and also won a Stellar Award.
Okay. So now, what are you going to be doing as far when that passes over? You have anything else that you want to tell the viewers about that you might be, that you want that they need to know about? You know.
Well, I have a nonprofit organization
Okay.
called the Love Jones Foundation,
Okay.
and we invest into the forgotten seniors. I go into these facilities where they are, and I'll take my little rhythm section, and we
Right.
go in, give away gifts and stuff, and
Oh, that's so
I
beautiful. That's beautiful.
perform. I perform from Billie Holiday to the Temptations to Nat King Cole. Spend some time with them, and also I
Mhm.
work with some of the youngsters through Boys and Girls Clubs. But we go in and we do workshops, to teach
Okay.
them some of the history and the whole format, of music, how music used to be. At one time, it was, this was the format, and now we're into another period. And it's good because a lot of the more current music, they think that these new artists created it, when it might, be, some artists from back in the 40s or the
Right.
50s, Miles Davis or something.
Right.
So we do that too.
It's very fun that you actually mentioned that because I watch TV sometimes, and they actually have songs that were written from artists from like way back. You know, and like I would tell my grandson, I'd be like, he said, "That's nice." I said, "But that's not the original song. This is something that was written way before I was even born." You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying? And a
yeah.
lot of, like you said before, a lot of things are coming back in a sense, but maybe in a different channel, but actually they're coming back. So
Well,
Glenn, you have any concerts coming up that you need to tell the viewers about that can come through and support you at this time?
Well, you can go to glennjonesmusic.com and see
Okay.
where I'm going to be. I'm constantly working. Matter of fact, next week, December 10th, I'll be in London. I'm doing a concert there with my man Case and several
Okay.
other, you know. So you can just go to the website and look it up. But I'm definitely all over the place. And even in 2023, we've got dates that have already started. So, I got
Right.
to pay the bills, man. So I'm always
Hey, that's
somewhere.
that's right. Well, Glenn, it's been an honor, and I mean an honor to
Thank
have
you.
you on my show. Because I remember when I first got your records, and back in the days when I was in a record pool, I still play music, but I got it as a promotional record, and RCA, I got it from RCA, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah.
Because when I
You
really
had the
thought about
vinyl.
some of
You had the vinyl copy. See, that's
right,
what.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I actually heard your sound before, it took me back to the SOS band because
Yeah.
it came out with a similarity as far as production like that. and then I had a lot of other people following behind that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I got to give you, I got to put hands down to you, man. You know,
Thank you.
But Glenn, it's been a real honor. You know, and quickly, you have any shout outs that you want to give anybody?
I just want to give a shout out to all my fans, you know, all my family. I want to say happy holiday, Merry Christmas to everybody. I want to say that I want them to pick up the record Family Time, because there's a message in that song. It talks about how family used to be and how we would spend time with one another. Everybody's so, you know, preoccupied with their, you know, device. You know, you go out to eat, you go to restaurants and everybody's on their phone. Families are not. I remember growing up with my dad and my mother sitting at the dinner table talking and finding out things that they needed to know about me, you know, and we need to go back to some of that.
Well, you know, it's been a pleasure, and this has been another T-Love video production, and you guys tune in for another episode. Thank you, Mr. Jones. We really appreciate you here.
My man.
All right, now.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
We got some fun people in the house tonight.
This is our house.
I've been watching you just to see how far you would go. You're gonna have to prove, make that move and let it show. I know it's getting late and you gotta go home. But before you go, baby, just show me what I gotta do. And baby, if you love me, I'll do anything for you.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Hard for you and me to put out.